Smoke curled beneath the nursery door long before anyone realized the danger. The mansion was glowing with golden chandeliers and booming laughter from the lavish party downstairs, but on the second floor, flames licked the edges of baby Tari's crib. And in the hallway stood Nala, the poor maid everyone ignored, frozen for half a heartbeat as the fire roared like a living beast. A scream echoed from somewhere behind her, but no one rushed toward the child. No one even tried. Not the guests, not the guards, not even Madame Yejide, who was too busy showing off her diamond necklace to notice her baby was moments away from death. But Nala moved, barefoot, terrified, yet unstoppable. She threw herself into the burning room, coughing violently as sparks bit into her skin. Tari was crying, reaching, choking, and Nala cradled him against her chest, shielding him with her own body as the ceiling groaned above them. Tonight, a maid no one valued would risk everything. And her true identity, long buried in shadows, was about to rise with the smoke. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it there? If you enjoy powerful African folktale dramas, feel free to subscribe so you never miss the next story. The doctor said Nala needed rest, but she refused the hospital bed as soon as she could stand. The burns along her arms stung with every movement, yet she insisted on returning to the mansion. She didn't want money, praise, or reward. She only wanted to make sure Tari was still breathing, still safe, still smiling. That little boy had somehow become the only warmth left in her fractured world. When she arrived, the mansion was no longer filled with laughter. The night's lavish celebration had ended abruptly, leaving behind shattered glasses, abandoned plates, and guests whispering as they slipped out the doors. Rumors spread quickly. Fire. The maid ran into the flames, saved the child, but most left before truly understanding what had happened. Nala stepped through the grand entrance with her head bowed, the faint smell of smoke still clinging to her clothes. No one greeted her. The mansion that once felt loud and cruel now felt cold, watchful, unsettled. She walked slowly toward the corridor leading to the nursery. Every step brought back flashes of the fire, the roar, the falling timber. Tari's tiny hands gripping her burned shoulder. She blinked hard. Not now, not here. The child needed her to be steady. But before she reached the door, a sharp voice sliced through the silence. "What are you doing back here?" Madame Yejide stood at the top of the stairs, arms crossed, face twisted with suspicion. Her expensive silk robe shimmered under the chandelier, but her eyes were dark, stormy, ungrateful. Nala lowered her gaze. "Ma, I came to check on the baby. Is he—" Yejide cut her off. "You almost killed him." The words slapped Nala harder than the heat of the flames had. "Two didn't." "You set that fire," Yejide hissed. "You were jealous? You wanted attention? How else would the flames start in the same room you were assigned to clean?" A lump tightened in Nala's throat. "Ma, I would never harm the child. Her voice cracked. "I love him. Enough." Yejide descended the stairs slowly, the sound of her heels echoing through the empty mansion. "You think Obinna will side with you because you threw yourself into a fire? Please. You are nothing but hired help. You don't belong here." Nala swallowed the sting. She'd heard worse in her life, words sharper than knives, words that once pushed her from the home she grew up in. But coming from the mother of the child she had just saved, it hurt in a different way. Yejide raised a manicured hand and pointed toward the door. "Pack your things. You're done here. But my wages—" "You're lucky I'm not calling the police." Nala shifted as though someone had kicked her in the ribs. For a moment she couldn't breathe. The image of the baby crying in her arms flashed through her mind again, how she shielded him with her own body, how she thought she might die, and this was her reward. But before Yejide could say another word, a low voice cut across the hall. "She's not going anywhere." Chief Obinna stepped forward, tall and broad-shouldered, looking exhausted yet resolute. His usually calm face was clouded with fury. The smell of smoke still clung to his suit. He hadn't even changed since he'd carried Tari out of the rubble. Yejide stiffened. "Obinna, you're letting this girl manipulate you." Obinna ignored her completely and turned to Nala. "The doctor told me you left the hospital. Why? You're still injured." Nala lowered her eyes. "I needed to see Tari." A flicker of something's oft, grateful, almost painful passed across Obinna's face. "He's alive because of you," he said quietly. "If you hadn't been there—" Nala shook her head. Anyone would have done the same. No, Obina replied firmly. Not anyone, not even the guards trained for emergencies. You were the only one brave enough to go in. Yejide scoffed. Oh, please. Are we awarding bravery medals to maids now? Obina shot his wife a look sharp enough to silence her. Yejide, enough. His voice was ice. This woman saved our child. She also caused the fire. She did not. Obina's tone left no room for argument. I checked the room myself. A stray candle on the shelf fell. It wasn't her doing. For a moment, silence stretched across the hall. Yejide's jaw tightened, fury simmering beneath her elegant facade. But Obina wasn't done. Nala will remain here until she's healed, he said firmly. And she will keep her job. Nala's lips parted, stunned. No one had stood up for her like that in years. But sir, she whispered, I don't want trouble. You're not the trouble, Obina said. You're the reason my son is alive. Yejide trembled with rage, but she swallowed it barely. She turned sharply, her robe swishing behind her, and stormed down the hall toward her private lounge. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the walls. Finally, Obina turned fully to Nala. Come, let me show you something. She hesitated but followed him up the stairs, her burned arms trembling with each step. Obina pushed open the nursery door. The room smelled faintly of wet ash and burnt wood. Workers were already cleaning, sweeping debris, trying to salvage anything left uncharred. On the bed, little Tari slept under a new blanket, his tiny chest rising and falling steadily. Nala stepped closer. A soft smile tugged at her lips despite the heaviness inside her. He's safe. Yes. Obina exhaled slowly. Because of you. He reached down and pulled a small piece of cloth from the side of the creebone of the blankets used that night. The edge was scorched black. You covered him with this, he said quietly. Even when the flames were on your back, you still shielded him. Nala blinked rapidly, unable to hide the raw emotion welling behind her eyes. She wasn't used to kindness especially, not from someone as powerful as Chief Obina. She turned to leave the room, but Obina gently stopped her. Nala, can I ask you something? She tensed. Yes, sir. He studied her face closely. Where did you learn to act like that? To risk your life without a second thought? Most people freeze. But you move like someone trained for danger. Nala stiffened. I don't know what you mean. There's more to you than what you show, Obina said softly, and I want to understand. Her heart lurched painfully. For a moment, she thought he had uncovered her truth, her past, her bloodline, her stolen legacy. Panic flickered across her face before she could hide it. I just did what felt right, she whispered. Obina watched her, not entirely convinced, but he let it go for now. You should rest, he said gently. Your burns need proper treatment. I'll have medicine sent to your room. Nala nodded, murmuring a quiet thank you, then left the nursery. But as she walked back to her tiny room at the far end of the mansion, a voice echoed in her mind she had tried so hard to bury. You are the daughter of Chief Dakurai. Never forget who you are. She clenched her fists. In this mansion full of lies, greed, and secrets, the truth was beginning to stir. And whether she liked it or not, her past was coming for her. Nala barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the crackling roar of the fire, felt the blistering heat clawing at her skin, saw Tari's terrified face buried against her shoulder. She would jolt awake, drenched in sweat, her bandaged arms throbbing, but she refused to cry. Tears were a luxury long stolen from her life. By dawn, she forced herself up from her thin mattress. Her room, more like a storage closet with a bed pushed against the wall, was cold, windowless, and silent. She sat for a moment, staring at the chipped paint on the door, wondering why she still felt a strange tug deep inside her chest. A feeling she hadn't felt in years. A sense of belonging. Not to the mansion, not to the wealth surrounding her, but to Tari. She wrapped a shawl over her shoulders and stepped into the hallway. Sunlight crept through the large windows, casting long shadows on the marble floor. The house was unusually quiet. No cooks shouting orders, no cleaners scurrying, no footsteps from the guards. The fire had shaken everyone. Nala hesitated before entering the nursery. She peeked inside. Tari was awake, crawling in circles on the soft blanket spread on the floor. When he spotted her, he squealed and raised his small arms. Her chest tightened. Good morning, little one. She sat near him, careful with her burns. Tari crawled straight into her lap, nestling against her as though she were the only safe place in the world. Nala stroked his hair gently. I'm here, I promise. A soft cough drew her attention. She turned sharply, startled. Standing at the doorway was Obina, dressed in a crisp, dark blue suit, looking like he'd slept even less than she did. Good, he said quietly. He's happier when you're here. Nala's hands froze. Sir, forgive me. I should have asked permission. Stop. He stepped into the nursery. You don't need permission to see him. You saved him. You earned every right to be by his side. She lowered her gaze, unsure how to respond. Compliments always felt like traps beautiful until they turned into blades. Obina stood a few feet away, watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Respect? Curiosity? Something else? Can I ask another question, Nala? Her shoulders stiffened again. Yes, sir. Where did you learn to comfort a child like that? Tari never settles this quickly, not even with his mother. Nala swallowed. I took care of younger children in the place I used to live. What place was that? Her heartbeat stumbled. Just a small home, far away. Obina tilted his head slightly, sensing her fear. I'm not trying to interrogate you. I just want to understand you. You're different. You carry yourself with dignity even when others don't treat you right. She said nothing. He knelt beside Tari. The baby reached for his beard and giggled. Obina laughed softly, kissing the child's tiny fingers. I owe you more than I can ever say, he murmured to Nala without looking up. She opened her mouth to reply, but footsteps echoed down the hall. Yajid entered the nursery like a storm. Her hair was perfectly styled, makeup flawless, but her eyes were wild and cold. What is she doing here again? Yajid snapped. Tari instantly stiffened in Nala's lap. His small hands clutched her shirt tighter. Nala tried to move him away, but he whimpered and buried himself deeper against her. Yajid's face darkened, jaw twitching. Obina rose slowly. He's comfortable. Leave him be. He's comfortable because she spoils him, Yajid shrieked. That girl is poisoning him against his own mother. Nala shook her head. Ma, I would never. Oh, enough with your fake innocence, Yajid shouted. You think you can build sympathy by running into a fire? What a performance. Even your injuries look exaggerated. Obina's expression turned deadly. Yajid, stop. But she didn't. In 2 strides, Yajid crossed the room and grabbed Tari by the arm, trying to wrench him away from Nala. The child burst into loud, terrified cries. Nala gasped, instinctively shielding him with her burned arms. Let go, Nala pleaded. Don't touch my son, Yajid screamed. Yajid, Obina roared. He stepped between them so fast that Yajid stumbled backward. His face was inches from hers, eyes blazing with a fury she had never seen directed at her. You scared him, Obina snapped. Look at him, he's shaking. Tari was sobbing uncontrollably now. Nala held him close, rocking gently until the tremors eased. Yejide's lips trembled. You're defending her over me? I'm protecting my son, Obina thundered. The room fell into a suffocating silence. For the first time, Yejid's strong facade cracked. Tears pricked her eyes, but anger quickly swallowed them. This girl is dangerous, she whispered hoarsely. You're blind if you can't see it. Obina exhaled sharply. The only danger in this room is you letting jealousy cloud your judgment. Yejide stumbled back as if slapped. Her hand clutched her chest. So that's it? You're choosing her? I am choosing what is right, Obina said coldly. Her face hardened. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you when this whole house collapses around your feet. She turned and stormed out, heels clicking sharply until the sound vanished. Obina inhaled deeply, rubbing his forehead. This is going too far. Nala gently wiped Tari's tears. Sir, she's his mother. She's afraid. That is no excuse. But it is understandable, Nala whispered. He stared at her, surprised by her kindness, despite being the one mistreated. You amaze me, he said quietly. You truly do. Nala lowered her eyes again, afraid of what he might see if he looked too closely. Because admiration was dangerous. Kindness was dangerous. Truth was dangerous, especially when the truth belonged to the daughter of a man whose legacy had been stolen by people who lived closer than she dared to imagine. As Nala held Tari close, something shifted subtly but undeniably. Obina didn't just see a maid anymore. He saw someone important, someone familiar, someone whose presence stirred memories he couldn't quite grasp. And Nala, despite her fear, couldn't deny it. She was getting attached to the child, to the man who defended her, to a life she had no right to want. But destiny had already begun weaving its threads, and soon the secrets she carried would no longer stay buried. Because in a mansion built on silence, the truth was knocking loudly. For the rest of the morning, the mansion felt like a place holding its breath. The staff moved carefully, whispering among themselves, stealing glances at Nala whenever she passed. Some looked at her with admiration, others with fear, as if she were a walking omen. But Nala paid none of them any mind. Her thoughts were too tangled, her heart too heavy. She spent most of the day in the nursery with Tari, playing quietly, humming songs her father once taught her. Songs she hadn't dared sing in years. The kind that carried memories wrapped in pain. Every note felt like pulling a thorn from her chest. Around noon, a soft knock echoed on the nursery door. Nala turned. It was Mama Ijiomathe, oldest housemaid, a woman who'd worked in the mansion longer than Yejide had been alive. Her eyes were wise, kind, but today they held something sharper. "Child," Mama Ijeoma said as she stepped inside, "come with me for a moment." Nala hesitated, glancing at Tari. "I'll watch him," Mama Ijeoma promised. "Go." Reluctantly, Nala rose and followed her into the hallway. Mama Ijeoma kept walking until they reached a deserted service corridor behind the kitchen, far from prying eyes, far from Yejid. Only when the door closed behind them did she turn to Nala. "Show me your hands," she said. Confused, Nala lifted her bandaged arms. Mama Ijeoma clicked her tongue. "Those burns are deep. You need real treatment." "I'm fine, Ma," Nala whispered. "No, you are not fine." Mama Ijeoma stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Obina can't protect you forever, child. Yejid's anger is not something to take lightly. You must be careful." Nala's breath caught. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I only wanted to save." "I know," Mama Ijeoma interrupted gently. "But listen to me. That fire was no accident." Nala froze. "What?" "I saw the candle in the nursery earlier that evening," Mama Ijeoma said quietly. "It was placed too close to the curtain, much too close. Someone wanted distraction, chaos, maybe even harm." Nala felt her pulse thud in her throat. "Are you saying someone tried to hurt Tari?" Mama Ijeoma pressed her lips together. "I don't know. I'm only saying what I saw. But your presence, your bravery ruined someone's plan." Nala felt a chill spread down her spine. "Who would do something so horrible?" "Power makes people dangerous," Mama Ijeoma said softly. "Especially in this house." For a moment, they stood in silence. Then the older woman's eyes narrowed slightly as she studied Nala's face. "I want to ask you something, but I need the truth." Nala stiffened. "What is it? Where are you from, child?" Nala dropped her gaze. "A small town." Mama Ijeoma frowned. And your family?" "Gone," Nala whispered. "Long gone." The older woman watched her for a long, uncomfortable moment. "You look familiar," she murmured. "Too familiar." Nala's breath hitched. "I don't understand." Mama Ijeoma touched her chin gently, tilting her face to the light. "Those eyes, that jawline, I've seen them before. Many years ago." Nala's throat tightened. "Ma, please." The old maid's eyes softened. "You don't have to tell me now, but know this: your past is walking toward you. Whatever truth you are hiding, it will not stay hidden forever." Nala swallowed hard, her voice barely a breath. "I don't want any trouble. Trouble is already here," Mama Ijeoma said. "Be prepared." A sudden cry rang through the hallway. It was Tari. Both women rushed back toward the nursery. When they burst inside, Nala's heart sank. Tari was crying in Yejide's arms, thrashing wildly, trying to escape her grip. Yejide's face brightened with smug satisfaction when she saw Nala. "See? He cries when you're gone. He is too attached to you. This is unhealthy." Nala kept her voice calm. "Ma, please give him to me." "No!" Yejid snapped. "He is my son. He will learn." But Tari only cried harder, reaching desperately for Nala. His tiny hands stretched toward her like she was the only lifeline he had. "Yejid," Obina's voice rumbled from the doorway. "Give him to her." Yejid turned, startled. Obina, not again. Now. The command in his voice left no room for argument. Yejid reluctantly placed Tari in Nala's arms. The moment she did, the baby stopped crying, clutching Nala's neck tightly. Yejid's eyes burned with humiliation. Obina walked inside, loosening his tie, his expression stormy. I have a meeting soon, but before I leave, I want to make something clear. He faced Yejid squarely. You will not harass Nala. You will not threaten her, and you will not remove her from this house. Yejid's voice trembled with rage. So she is more important than your own wife? Obina didn't flinch. She saved our son. That makes her important. Nala felt heat flood her cheeks, and not from the burns. Sir, please, I don't want to cause. You caused nothing, Obina said firmly. Yejide's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but they held no softness, only venom. One day, you will regret choosing her over me. She stormed out again, slamming the door behind her. Obina sighed heavily, rubbing the bridge of his nose. I apologize for her behavior. She has been unstable since the fire. Nala shook her head. She is just afraid, sir. Obina studied her, fascinated. How are you always so compassionate, even when you're the one being mistreated? Nala whispered, because anger never saved anyone. Obina opened his mouth to respond, but his phone rang. He stepped aside to answer it, something about a board meeting, a shipment issue, and an urgent call from Abuja. His voice grew tense, authoritative. While he spoke, Nala rocked Tari gently. His earlier sobbing had left him exhausted, and soon he drifted into sleep. Nala kissed his forehead softly. Mama Ijeoma lingered in a corner, her sharp eyes watching, assessing, remembering. Before leaving the room, she mouthed silently to Nala, "Be careful." When Obina hung up, he stepped closer. "I have to leave for a few hours. Can you stay with him?" "Of course, sir." His voice softened. "Thank you for everything." She nodded, unable to form words. When he left the room, a strange silence settled. The kind that whispered of secrets tightening like vines. The kind that hinted that someone else was listening. Someone who didn't want Nala alive. Someone who wanted the fire to succeed. Deep in the mansion, hidden behind a cracked door, a pair of eyes watched her every move, cold, calculating, furious. And as Nala hummed to Tari, unaware of the danger crawling closer, her past continued unfolding like a storm she could no longer outrun. Her truth was waking, and soon it would shatter everything. The quiet of the mansion didn't last long. By late afternoon, tension crackled through the halls like static electricity. Yejid hadn't been seen since her earlier outburst, but her absence was louder than any argument. Every servant moved with caution, as if one wrong step could trigger an explosion. Nala kept Tari close to her chest most of the day. His small hand wrapped around her burned fingers as he drifted in and out of light sleep. Every time he whimpered, she soothed him with soft strokes across his cheek, whispering gentle words that came from memories she kept locked deep inside. Memories of her own childhood, before everything went dark. But unease lingered in the air. Around sunset, as orange light spilled across the nursery walls, Nala's stomach tightened. Something felt off. The shadows seemed too long. The silence seemed too heavy. Even Tari sensed Iyeth kept lifting his head, glancing toward the door as if expecting something frightening to enter. Finally, Nala rose with him in her arms. "Let's get some fresh air, little one," she murmured. She stepped into the hallway and nearly collided with a tall figure. Nala gasped softly, clutching Tari tighter. Standing before her was a man she had seen around the mansion only once or twice, Kola, a relative of Yejide's who frequently visited but never stayed long enough for anyone to know what he actually did. He was well-dressed, with sharp features and a cold smile that never reached his eyes. "Ah," he said slowly, letting his gaze travel from Nala's burned arms to the child in her hold. "The hero of the day." His tone crawled across her skin like something oily and unpleasant. Nala bowed her head politely. "Good evening, sir." "You look nervous," Kola said, stepping closer. Tari whimpered and buried his face in her shoulder. Nala took a small step back. "The baby is tired, sir. Please excuse me." But Kola blocked her path, leaning against the wall casually. "You caused quite a stir saving him, you know. People are talking." His eyes narrowed. "Some say it was bravery. Others say it was convenient. Nala's heart skipped. Convenient? He smirked. A maid who suddenly becomes the center of attention. Makes one wonder what your goal is. Wealth? Favor? A place in this house? I want none of that, she said firmly. Really? He tilted his head, examining her face too closely. You don't look like someone who belongs in poverty. Her breath caught. He leaned in slightly. Your features, your posture, that little spark in your eyes. You remind me of someone. His fingers tapped his chin. But I can't place who. Panic crawled through Nala's chest. She glanced toward the stairs, calculating whether she could slip past him. As if sensing her thoughts, Kola stepped aside. Go on then. The boy will scream if he stays near me any longer. Nala hurried past him, but before she turned the corner, his voice followed Herlo, dangerous. Fire doesn't start itself, you know, and some secrets don't stay buried. Her blood ran cold. She didn't look back. She found safety only when she reached the garden. The evening breeze brushed against her skin, cooling her burns. Tari relaxed instantly, his body loosening in her arms. She sat under the shadow of a large almond tree, gently swaying him. Shh, it's all right, she whispered. We're outside. Nothing can hurt us here. But even as she said it, her eyes scanned the windows of the mansion. Someone had tried to harm the baby. Mama Ijeoma was right, the candle placement wasn't random. But who would do such a thing? And why? And why had Kola acted as though he knew something? She rocked Tari gently until he fell fast asleep. Child, a voice whispered behind her. Nala turned. Mama Ijeoma was approaching, her face lined with shadows. You should not speak with Kola, the old woman warned. He is dangerous. I didn't seek him out, Nala said. He found me. Mama Ijeoma's frown deepened. That one is clever. And ruthless. He once tried to force his way into this house's inheritance, even though he has no rightful claim. Only God knows what schemes he still holds. Nala hugged Tari closer. Is that why he asked strange questions about me? Mama Ijeoma hesitated. He sees things. He notices details others ignore, and he has certain connections. That is why I worry for you. Fear pricked at the back of Nala's throat. I don't want trouble. I know. The woman took Nala's hands gently. But child, I need you to understand something. You are not invisible anymore. Not after saving the heir of this house. Eyes that once ignored you will now watch every step you take. Nala swallowed hard. I never wanted attention. That is exactly why they will fear you. Before Nala could respond, a deep voice called from the veranda. Nala? She turned. Obinna was walking toward them. He looked exhausted, his suit slightly wrinkled, his tie loosened. His eyes went straight to Tari. Is he okay? He asked softly. Yes, sir, Nala said. He just fell asleep. Obinna sighed in relief. Good. I was worried. He stepped closer, but Mama Ijeoma gently slipped away, leaving them alone under the fading sunlight. Nala, Obinna began. I need to talk to you. Her pulse quickened. Yes, sir? I came home early because something strange happened at the office. She frowned. What do you mean? Obinna ran a hand through his hair. A file was dropped on my desk. Anonymous. Inside were photographs. Of you. Her heart stopped. No, not again. Not her past. Not the tragedy she had run from. What photographs? She whispered. Obinna watched her carefully. You. As a child, wearing clothes far better than anything a poor family could ever afford. And standing beside a very well-known man. Nala's knees nearly gave out. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Nala, you never told me you once knew Chief Dakarai. Her breath hitched painfully. Sir, please. I knew him personally, Obinna continued softly. He was an honorable man, wealthy, influential, respected, and he adored his daughter. Nala felt tears burn her eyes. The last I heard, Obinna said, his daughter disappeared after a tragedy involving his estate. Rumor had it she died. But the body was never found. She couldn't breathe. Obinna stepped closer, gently lifting her chin. Nala, who are you really? Her lips trembled. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. I cannot tell you. Why? He asked. What are you afraid of? Everything, everyone. Her past, her enemies, herself. Finally she managed to whisper, Because knowing the truth will put you and this baby in danger. Obinna froze. Before he could respond, a sudden crash echoed from the mansion. A servant screamed. Lights flickered violently. Chaos erupted from inside. Obinna snapped to attention. Stay here. But Nala felt a sudden dread twist in her stomach. Sir Tari? Another scream. Louder this time. A sound like glass shattering. And then a voice cold, furious, unmistakable rang through the house. Where is she? Nala's blood turned to ice. Kola. He wasn't hiding anymore. Obinna ran toward the mansion, barking orders. Nala clutched Tari protectively, her breath shaking. Fear clawed its way up her spine. The danger wasn't coming. It was already here. The mansion erupted in pandemonium. Nala stood frozen beneath the almond tree, Tari trembling in her arms as the echo of shattering glass vibrated through the night air. Screams bounced off the walls, footsteps thundered through the corridors, and voices rose in panic. But it was that one voice, Kola's furious, unmistakable roar, that made Nala's blood run cold. Where is she? Not who, she, her. Nala held Tari tighter until she felt his tiny heartbeat pounding against her chest. Her breaths came in shallow bursts, each one scraping her lungs like broken glass. Whatever Kola wanted, it wasn't simple intimidation anymore. This was a hunt. Another crash louder this time, and a terrified maid bolted through the back door, stumbling onto the veranda. Tears streamed down her face. He's tearing the place apart, the maid cried. Madame Yejide is yelling at him to leave. He won't listen. Nala swallowed hard. Did he hurt anyone? He nearly hit one of the guards. He's demanding to speak to you, saying you're a liar and a thief, and the maid's voice cracked. Nala, you must hide. Now. But Nala didn't move. Her mind spun with questions that tangled like vines. Had Kola seen the photos Obinna described? Did he recognize her father? Had he known all along who she was? The answers didn't matter anymore. Kola was inside the mansion, unrestrained, furious. In Terrace Suite, innocent Tara was in her arms. She turned to Mama Ijeoma, who had hurried back to the garden upon hearing the commotion. Take the baby, Nala whispered urgently. Please, hide him. Mama Ijeoma's eyes widened. No, child. You cannot face that man alone. I'm not facing him, Nala said firmly. I'm protecting Tari. He must not get dragged into this. Mama Ijeoma hesitated, torn, but reached for the baby. Tari whimpered as Nala gently transferred him into the older woman's embrace. Be brave, little one, Nala whispered, kissing his forehead. I will come back for you. Mama Ijeoma cradled him close. I will take him to the storage basement. No one goes there. Be careful, child. Nala nodded. Please, hurry. The older woman disappeared into the shadows, holding Tari tight. Just as Nala took a step toward the mansion, a door slammed open violently, and light flooded across the garden. Obinna emerged, breathless, his expression sharp. Nala, stay back, he ordered, but Nala didn't stop. Where is he? Obinna grabbed her arm, his grip firm but trembling. Inside. He's out of control. The guards can't restrain him. What does he want? You, Obinna said grimly. He came back asking questions about your past. I asked him to leave. He refused. A chill crawled down Nala's spine. Sir, he knows something. Obinna nodded slowly. He said he recognized you. And when I demanded proof, he snapped. Another crash boomed from inside, followed by Yeji's shrill voice shouting something unintelligible. Obinna flinched. I need to get you somewhere safe. Nala shook her head fiercely. I'm not running. This is my fault. No, Obinna said, gripping both her shoulders. This is his madness, not your burden. But Nala's eyes filled with a kind of pain Obinna had never seen, deep, old, familiar in a way he couldn't explain. Sir, she whispered, voice tight, I've run my whole life. I'm tired of hiding. Before he could argue, Kola's voice bellowed again, closer now, dangerously close. You think you can hide her from me, Obinna? Nala and Obinna exchanged a look of dread. Obinna exhaled sharply. Stay behind me. He pushed open the back door and stepped inside with Nala close behind. The interior of the mansion was a battlefield. One of the vases imported from Italy lay shattered in glittering fragments across the floor. A dining chair was overturned. Servants clung to each other at the base of the stairs, fear etched into their faces. And in the center of the chaos stood Kola. His shirt was torn at the collar, his chest heaving, eyes wild with fury. 2 guards stood around him warily, unsure whether to restrain or retreat. Yejide hovered near the stairs, her lipstick smudged from shouting. The moment Kola saw Obina and Nala behind him, his expression twisted into something vicious. "You," he growled, pointing an accusing finger at Nala. Finally, Obina stepped forward, blocking Kola's view. "Enough. You are leaving this house." Kola Lafeda, short, unhinged sound. "Leaving? Oh, Obina, if only you knew. That girl doesn't belong in your home. She's lying to you." "She saved my son," Obina snapped. "I will not allow you to threaten her." "She didn't save the child for you," Kola barked. "Everything she does is calculated. She's manipulating you just like her father manipulated everyone." Nala's breath stilled. Obina's voice dropped, cold as steel. "Do not speak about Chief Dakarai. He was a good man." "Was he?" Kola smirked. "Or was he a fool who paid the price for trusting the wrong people?" Nala flinched as if struck. Obina's fists clenched. "Explain, now." Kola looked directly at Nala, eyes burning. "Tell him the truth, girl. Tell him who you really are." Nala's legs trembled, her voice barely escaped her throat. "Sir, Kola cut her off. "I'll tell him myself." He took a step forward, and the guards tensed. "That girl," Kola declared, voice booming, "is the daughter of Chief Dakarai. The missing heir of a fortune my family was supposed to inherit." Gasps rippled across the hall. Nala's vision blurred, the walls spun. Obina stared at her, stunned, searching her face for confirmation. Kola continued venomously. "Her father trusted my uncle, made him executor of the estate, but when the old man died, we found Alth left everything to this girl." Nala's voice cracked. "I didn't ask for any of it." Kola ignored her. "My uncle used to say the girl must be eliminated before the will could be executed, but she vanished. Everyone thought she drowned in that river, but look at her alive, hiding, pretending to be a maid so no one would discover her." Nala shook her head fiercely. "That's not true." "Oh, really?" Kola sneered. "Then why did you have the family crest on that bracelet? The same crest that went missing the night your father died?" Obina turned to her, voice trembling. "Nala, is any of this true?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I never meant to lie. I was only trying to survive." Kola spat on the floor. "Survive? You think you can survive me?" He lunged. Obina shoved Nala behind him and blocked Kola's attack. The 2 men clashed violently, Kola swinging recklessly, Obina defending with precise, controlled strength. "Guards!" Obina shouted. "Get him out!" But before the guards could move, Kola reached into his coat. Nala screamed, "Sir, look out!" Obina turned just as Kola pulled something glinting metal, sharp. Mama Ijioma's voice echoed from somewhere in the house. "Protect the child." Everything happened at once. Obina grabbed Kola's wrist. The knife dropped, clattering across the marble. The guards tackled Kola to the ground. Yejide shrieked, stumbling back against the staircase. Nala couldn't breathe. Her knees buckled. As they dragged Kola away, he snarled one last warning, eyes locked onto her. "You may have escaped once, but next time, girl, you won't be so lucky." Silence fell. Obina turned to Nala. His chest heaved, his jaw clenched, but his eyes softened when they landed on her tear-stained face. "Nala," he whispered, "why didn't you tell me?" Her voice trembled like a dying flame. "Because anyone who knows me ends up hurt. Because my past destroys everything it touches." Obina stepped closer, gently lifting her chin. "Your past isn't your fault, and you are not alone anymore." But Nala shook her head. "You don't understand," she whispered. "If Kola has found me, then the real danger is just beginning." And somewhere deep within the mansion, unseen by both of them, another figure listened in the shadows, someone who was never supposed to hear the truth. Someone whose life was now unraveling because of it. The mansion felt different after Kola was dragged out, quieter, but in a way that made the silence feel dangerous, heavy, like the air held secrets that were no longer willing to stay hidden. The servants avoided eye contact with Nala, not out of disgust, but out of fear Fear of what her presence now meant. Fear of the storm she had unknowingly brought into their lives. But the person most shaken was not a servant. It was Yejide. She stood at the top of the staircase long after Kola had been forced outside, one hand gripping the railing so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her eyes were hollow, stunned, unfocused, like the foundations of her world had shifted beneath her feet. Her husband defending Nala was one thing. Her son loving Nala more than her was another. But now she had heard everything. The girl she had insulted, humiliated, threatened, was not a common maid. She was the daughter of a billionaire, the rightful heir to a dynasty, a woman who could destroy everything with a single signature. And the worst part, the part that gnawed at Yejide like a starving animal, Obinna had known she was hiding something, and he protected her anyway. Jealousy, fear, humiliation, every emotion collided violently inside her chest. She turned abruptly and walked down the hallway, her heels echoing sharply, her breath trembling. She needed space, distance, air, but she also needed answers. She entered her private lounge and slammed the door shut behind her. Her hands shook so badly she dropped her glass of wine. It shattered across the floor, crimson liquid spreading like blood. "Daughter of Chief Dakarai," she whispered, pacing. "Impossible. It cannot be." But it made sense. The way Nala carried herself, the grace, the quiet strength, the dignity that refused to die no matter how much Yejide tried to crush it. Nala hadn't been pretending to be strong. She was strong. And now Yejide understood why Obinna defended her. Not because she was a maid with a kind heart, but because she was someone powerful, someone important, someone dangerous. Yejide sank into the nearest chair, pressing a trembling hand to her forehead. "If she regains her inheritance, if she connects everything," she whispered, voice hollow, "what happens to me? To Tari? To this house?" Her mind spiraled. If Nala truly was the heir, Kola's family would stop at nothing to silence her. And if Obinna was drawn in, her carefully built life could crumble. Yejide's breaths came faster. She clutched her necklace so tightly the chain dug into her skin. "No," she whispered fiercely. "I will not lose everything." She rose with newfound resolve. Whatever Nala was, whoever she was, Yejide would not allow her to destroy this family. Meanwhile, Obinna led Nala into the study and closed the door softly behind them. His face was still lined with the adrenaline of the confrontation, but his eyes held something deeper: worry, sympathy, and a heaviness Nala had never seen in him before. "Nala," he said gently, "sit down." "Please." She obeyed, though her hands trembled as she clasped them in her lap. The study felt strangely intimate, warm lighting, tall bookshelves, the scent of cedar and leather. But Nala felt exposed, as though every wall was made of glass. Obinna sat across from her, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. "I need you to tell me everything." She shook her head. "Sir, No more hiding," he interrupted softly. "Not from me." Her breath quivered. Tears welled in her eyes but didn't fall. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then her voice, barely audible, broke the silence. "My name is Nala Dakarai. I was born the only child of Chief Dakarai Olamide, and I was supposed to inherit everything he built." Obinna's breath caught, but he didn't interrupt. "When my father died," she continued, voice fragile, "I was 12. His estate was supposed to be protected by his closest friend, my uncle, by marriage. He was supposed to watch over me until I was old enough to take my place." A tear slipped down her cheek, but instead, he wanted everything for himself. Obinna's jaw clenched. "He told the world I died in the river accident. He bribed witnesses. He stole the documents, the deeds, the accounts, and he left me in the street like garbage." She looked down at her burned hands. "I survived by begging, cleaning, then by working as a maid. I never wanted revenge. I only wanted to live." Obinna felt heat rise behind his eyes, anger, sorrow, disbelief. "Nala, why didn't you come forward? Why didn't you fight?" She smiled bitterly. "Fight how? A child with no proof, no money, no support? My uncle is powerful. His family owns half the politicians in our district. They would have killed me if they discovered I lived." Obinna exhaled, pacing. "This is bigger than I imagined." She nodded. "Sir, Kola is part of that family. That's why he recognized me. That's why he wants me dead." Obina stopped walking. Then you cannot stay here. Nala's heart sank. You're sending me away? He turned sharply. No, I am protecting you. But this house is no longer safe. Not while Kola knows who you are. She collapsed back in her chair, covering her face. I'm putting everyone in danger. You saved my son, Obina said with quiet intensity. You saved this family. Now let me protect you. A soft knock interrupted them. Both turned. The door opened, and Yejide stepped inside. Her expression was unreadable, cold, controlled, but with a tremor beneath the surface. Obina's face tightened instantly. Yejide, not now. I heard everything, she said quietly. Nala froze. Obina stiffened. You were listening? I had every right, she replied sharply. This is my home, and you are speaking about secrets that affect me and my child. Nala lowered her gaze. I'm sorry, Ma. Yejide raised a hand. Do not speak to me yet. The bitterness in her voice made Nala flinch. Yejide turned to Obina. You knew she had a secret identity. But you didn't think it was important to tell your wife? Obina straightened. I only learned the truth today. How convenient, Yejide muttered. Then she turned fully to Nala. But her tone surprised them both. It wasn't anger, it wasn't jealousy, it was fear. If what you say is true, then the people chasing you, Yejide swallowed. They are dangerous. They will come again, and they will not care who else gets hurt. Nala's breath shook. I never wanted to endanger this house. But you have, Yejide said. Obina stepped forward protectively. Yejide? No. Let me speak, she said. Whether I like this girl or not, whether she belongs here or not, is irrelevant. Her gaze drifted to Nala's bandaged arms. She saved Tari. No one can deny that. Nala's eyes widened in shock. Yejide continued, voice trembling. And we cannot send her away now. Not when someone just tried to kill her. Not when that danger could return. Silence filled the room. Finally, Yejide straightened her shoulders. If she stays, we must protect her. All of us. Obina blinked. You're agreeing to this? I am not heartless, Obina. Yejide snapped weakly, just frightened. Then she turned back to Nala. But make no mistake, she said softly, eyes sharp. Your presence is a ticking bomb. And if this house burns again, the flames will not be easy to put out. Nala swallowed hard. She understood the warning and the promise. As night settled over the mansion, 3 people stood in that study bound by fear, by truth, by danger, and by something far more powerful. A destiny none of them could escape. The night dragged on without mercy. Even after the house quieted and the guards doubled their patrol, there was no true calm, only an uneasy stillness, like the mansion itself feared what would happen next. Shadows crawled along the walls, whispers drifted from the servants' quarters, and every creak of the wooden floors felt like a warning. Nala sat alone in her tiny room long after midnight, her hands clasped together, trembling. She could still hear Kola's voice echoing in her mind, his accusations, his threats, his certainty that she would not survive a second encounter. Her chest tightened painfully. She had spent years hiding her identity so well, she almost believed she no longer had one. But now the truth was out, and the danger she had feared for so long had finally found her. A faint knock broke her spiraling thoughts. Her breath caught. Who is it? It's me, Obina's deep voice whispered. Nala hesitated before opening the door. Obina stood there, still dressed in the same shirt from earlier. The top button was undone, his sleeves rolled up, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. But behind the fatigue was something stronger, protectiveness. You're awake, he murmured, stepping inside. She nodded quietly. I couldn't sleep. Neither could I, he admitted. After everything that happened, no one in this house will rest easily tonight. Nala hugged her arms around herself. Sir, I am so sorry. I never meant for any of this. Stop apologizing, Obina said gently but firmly. You have nothing to be sorry for. I do, she said, voice cracking. I brought danger into your home, danger to Tari. I cannot forgive myself for that. Obina shook his head. You are the reason my son is alive right now. Do you understand that? His voice lowered. If anyone should apologize, it's me. For not realizing sooner that you were living in fear under my roof. Nala blinked rapidly, her eyes stinging. No one had ever spoken to her with such sincerity, not since her father died. Obina exhaled deeply and sat on the edge of her small bed. I just came to make sure you're all right. Yejid is shaken, but she understands the risks now. I didn't expect her to defend me, Nala whispered. Not after how she treated me. She is many things, Obina said with a weary sigh, but she is not cruel. Fear brings out the worst in her, but Tari is her whole world. And you saved him. Nala looked down. I didn't save him for her. I saved him because she loved him. But she couldn't say those words aloud. Obina watched her carefully. He loves you too. You know. She smiled weakly. He is the only light I have left. Silence settled between them, soft, fragile, full of unspoken truths. Finally, Obina stood. I want you to sleep tonight. I'll ask one of the guards to station near your corridor. No, Nala said quickly. That will only draw more attention. If Kola has allies, they will know something is wrong. Obina considered her words and nodded. You're right. Sometimes visibility is more dangerous than darkness. He walked to the door, then paused. Nala, if you need anything at all, call for me. She nodded, her heart trembling. After he left, Nala eased herself onto the bed, but rest still refused to come. She stared at the ceiling, thinking of her father, of the empire that slipped away, of the life she could never reclaim. Hours crawled by. Finally, just before dawn, exhaustion pulled her into a restless sleep. But danger had not left the mansion, not even close. At the far end of the house, in a guest room rarely used, Yejid paced the length of the floor, unable to calm the storm raging inside her. She had tried to lie down beside Tari earlier, tried to feel the maternal peace she used to know, but the shadows in the nursery felt too heavy, too accusing. And every time she closed her eyes, she saw Nala's tear-filled face, heard Obina's soft voice defending her. It made her chest ache pain. Jealousy, fear, anger woven so tightly she couldn't untangle them. My own husband, she whispered to herself. My own child. She stopped pacing and stared into the mirror. Her reflection looked older, harder, broken. She clenched the sides of the table. I cannot lose what I've built. I won't. But deep down, she knew something she hadn't dared say aloud, even in the privacy of her thoughts. Nala was not the enemy. Kola was. And if he returned, he wouldn't just come for Nala, he would come for them all. Yejide sank into a chair and buried her face in her hands. What do I do? She whispered. Morning came with a heavy sky, clouds hanging low like they might fall onto the mansion's rooftop at any moment. Nala rose before the sun fully crested, her heart still raw from the night's turmoil. She made her way quietly toward the nursery. Tari was awake, sitting up in his crib, his small fingers gripping the bars as he tried to pull himself to his feet. When he saw her, he let out a delighted squeal. Despite everything, warmth flooded her chest. Good morning, my little warrior, she whispered as she lifted him into her arms. He pressed his cheek to hers, babbling happily, unaware of the danger that had brushed so close. Nala held him tighter. I will protect you, she murmured, no matter what. She didn't notice Yejid standing in the doorway until the woman cleared her throat. Nala stiffened. Ma, good morning. Yejid's face was unreadable. Come with me. Fear rippled through Nala's chest, but she followed, carrying Tari along. Yejid led her into the small breakfast room, a quiet, sunlit space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the garden. She motioned for Nala to sit. You don't have to carry him, Yejid said flatly. Nala glanced down at Tari, who clung stubbornly to her dress. He doesn't want me to put him down, Ma. Yejid's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. A long silence stretched between them. Finally, Yejid spoke. Do you know why I've always felt threatened by you? Nala's breath hitched. Ma, I never meant. Let me finish, Yejid said sharply. She crossed her arms, staring at the table as if the truth was carved into the wood grain. I was not born into wealth, she said. People think I married Obina for his money. Maybe that's partially true, but I worked my whole life to rise from nothing, to become someone. Nala listened quietly. And then you came, Yejid continued, her voice low. With your quiet dignity, your kindness, your grace, traits no maid should possess. Pain flickered in her eyes. You reminded me of everything I am not, and everything I fear losing. Nala swallowed hard. Ma, I never wanted to threaten you. You did, Yejid said, without trying, without even knowing. And now? She laughed bitterly. Now I learn you are the daughter of a man more powerful than anyone I have ever met, the rightful heir to a fortune larger than this entire estate. Nala lowered her gaze. That fortune is gone to me. For now, Yejid muttered. Then she leaned forward. You cannot stay here without protection, and you cannot leave without risking your life. Nala nodded, her voice trembling. I know. Yejide took a deep breath. So I need to know something. Her eyes narrowed, her voice softened, her words landed like stones. What exactly does your presence mean for my family? Nala felt the world tilt beneath her. She didn't know how to answer. Before she could respond, footsteps thundered down the hallway, followed by Obina's urgent voice. Nala! Yejid, come quickly! The two women exchanged a startled glance before rushing toward the sound. They met Obina in the foyer, breathless, tense. Sir? Nala asked. What happened? Obina handed her something small and metal, a bullet casing, fresh, warm. His voice was grim. One of the guards found this in the garden this morning, which means... He looked at Nala with dread in his eyes. Kola wasn't bluffing. Someone else was here, watching, waiting. And not just watching the house, watching her. Nala clutched Tari closer as a chilling realization sank in. The fire had been the beginning, the attack in the mansion was the warning. But now the true hunt had begun. The foyer fell into a suffocating silence. Nala stared at the warm bullet casing in Obina's hand, her breath catching in her throat. The edges glinted under the chandelier's light like a cruel message code, unmistakable and lethal. Tari squirmed uneasily in her arms, sensing the tension radiating around him. Yejid stepped back, one hand instinctively covering her mouth. A bullet casing, here, inside our garden? Obina nodded grimly. The guard found it near the almond tree. Whoever left it was close. Much too close. Nala's knees weakened and she tightened her hold on Tari. It means they weren't just watching, she whispered. They were planning. Obina's voice hardened, planning to kill. The words dropped like stones into water, sending ripples of terror through the room. Yejid snapped out of her shock. We have to call the police. Immediately. This is attempted murder. Obina shook his head. And tell them what? That a notorious family with political allies is targeting a girl most people believe died years ago? That will do nothing but alert Kola's uncle and he'll bury the investigation before it begins. Yejid's fear turned into outrage. So we do nothing? We sit here and wait for them to attack again? No, Obina said firmly. We prepare. Nala stared at the bullet casing, a trembling chill spreading through her limbs. Sir, they won't stop. They want me gone. Dead. Obina stepped toward her, cupping her shoulder with surprising gentleness. They will not touch you. I won't allow it. His words held a power that struck her deeper than fear, but she shook her head weakly. Sir, you don't understand. This is bigger than you, bigger than me. They destroyed my father. They swallowed his empire whole. They nearly killed me once. They won't hesitate to kill again. Then they'll have to get through me first, Obina said. Yejide stiffened at the intensity in his voice, her eyes flicking between them. In that moment, raw, vulnerable, honest, she saw something she had been too blinded by jealousy to notice. Obina didn't care about Nala because she was noble-born. He cared because she was good, because she saved their child, because she carried pain that mirrored a part of him Yejid had never reached. Fear twisted in her stomach, not just fear of danger, but fear of losing everything she depended on. Yejid cleared her throat sharply. Enough. We need a plan. Now. Obina nodded. I've already called a trusted friend, Major Chima. He's coming immediately. He owes me favors. He will coordinate security until we figure out our next steps. Yejid exhaled shakily. Good. Good. Nala's voice trembled. But what about Tari? If I'm the target, my son is safe, Yejide snapped. He is not the one they want. But Nala shook her head. You don't know that. I was holding him yesterday in the garden. If someone aimed at me, her voice cracked. He could have been hurt. Yejide paled. She had not considered that possibility. Obina placed a hand on his wife's shoulder. We will assign 2 guards exclusively for Tari. No one goes near him without supervision. And what about her? Yejid asked, glancing at Nala. Obina turned to Nala, his expression thoughtful. We need to secure you first. A sudden knock boomed at the front door, startling everyone. The guards flanked the entrance immediately. Obina raised a hand. Stand down, it's Major Chima. The guards opened the door cautiously. A tall, commanding man in military uniform stepped inside. His presence alone shifted the energy in the room, calm, alert, and deadly. Major Chima surveyed the foyer with sharp eyes before nodding to Obina. You called. What's the situation? Obina handed him the bullet casing. Major Chima examined it, his expression darkening. High caliber. Professional. Whoever left this wasn't sending a message, they were testing range and visibility. Nala felt her blood freeze. Yejid whispered, testing, for what? Major Chima looked her directly in the eye. To determine the best angle for a kill shot, a gasp escaped her lips. The room seemed to tilt. Where did you find this? Chima asked. By the almond tree, Obina replied. Chima nodded. Open garden. Clear line of sight to multiple back windows. Good vantage point for a sniper. Nala felt her legs weaken. They want to kill me. Chima studied her. And who exactly is trying? Obina answered for her. The Dakarai estate thieves. Her father's supposed allies. Chima's eyebrows rose. The ones rumored to have military contacts and hired mercenaries? Nala closed her eyes. Yes. Chima exhaled slowly. Then this is not a house matter. This is a threat with political reach. He turned to Obina. We need to relocate her. Nala's head snapped up. No, I won't run again. Child, Chima said, softening his tone. This is not running. It's staying alive. Nala trembled. I have faced death before. I won't hide forever. Obina stepped forward. Nala, he's right. You cannot face them unprotected. No, she whispered. I'm done running. Chima studied her posture, her trembling hands, the resolve in her eyes. You're brave. Foolish, but brave. Then he turned to Obina again. If she won't leave, then the house must go into lockdown. Reinforce the windows, secure the perimeter, double the guards. And her room? Yejid asked. Chima shook his head. Too exposed. She needs to move somewhere more central. Fewer entry points. Obina hesitated. She could stay in the guest wing. No, Chima interrupted. That's worse. His eyes drifted toward the staircase. Then he pointed. Put her in the nursery. Silence crashed over the room. Yejid's mouth fell open. Absolutely not. That is my son's room. Chima remained calm, which is exactly why it's safer. No assassin will risk harming a child. If they want her alive long enough to silence her quietly, they will avoid that room entirely. Obina considered the logic. It makes sense. No, Yejid hissed. Never. I will not let her sleep where my child sleeps. Nala stepped forward, voice shaking. Ma, I would never harm Tari. You know I wouldn't. That doesn't matter, Yejid snapped. You bring danger with you. What if someone attacks the nursery? What if? Then they will have to go through armed guards first, Chima said firmly. And even then, they would hesitate. It is the safest room in this house. Yejid's breathing grew erratic. No, no! For the first time, Nala reached out and touched Yejid's hand gently. Ma, she whispered, I will protect him with my life. Yejide jerked her hand away, but something flickered in her eyes, fear mixed with reluctant understanding. Obina stepped beside his wife, resting a steady hand on her arm. Yejide, she has already proved that. Yejide closed her eyes, inhaling shakily. I don't like this. But you know it is the only place safe enough, Obina said softly. She trembled. Finally, she whispered, Fine. Nala exhaled in relief, though guilt twisted inside her. She never wanted to invade anyone's space, least of all the space of the woman who already saw her as a threat. Major Chima straightened. Good. Prepare the room. I'll begin a full assessment. He turned to Nala. Stay close. Don't go anywhere alone. From this moment on, you are a target. Nala nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. She carried Tari back to the nursery, feeling his warmth against her chest. The room, once a place of comfort, now felt different. Charged, protected, dangerous. Inside, she sat in the rocking chair, holding him as he drifted into sleep. And as the house buzzed with preparations, reinforcements, and whispered fears, Nala gazed down at the child who clung to her with unconditional trust. "I won't run," she whispered into his soft hair. "Not anymore." Outside the window, hidden in the trees, eyes watched her silhouette. Patient, cold, calculating. The first bullet had been a warning. The next one would be a promise. The nursery became the center of the mansion overnight. Guards patrolled outside the door, 2 stationed at each end of the hallway. Another stood by the staircase, his hand never far from the holster on his hip. The entire house felt like a fortress, yet Nala couldn't shake the feeling that danger seeped in through cracks no one could see. She sat on the floor beside Tari's crib, her back against the wall, arms wrapped around her knees. The night was deep and still, except for occasional muffled footsteps of the guards doing rounds. Every sound made her flinch. Every shadow made her skin prickle. Despite the security around her, sleep stayed far away. Tari stirred lightly in his crib, whining as though sensing her fear. Nala rose and leaned over him, stroking his cheek gently. "Shh, I'm here," she whispered. "Nothing will harm you." But even as the words left her lips, she wondered if they were true. A soft knock sounded at the door. Not urgent, not aggressive, just gentle. "Who is it?" Nala whispered. "It's me," Obina's voice replied quietly. She opened the door slightly. He stood in the dim hallway, his expression tense but calm. His tie hung loose around his neck, his sleeves rolled up. The night had clearly taken a toll on him too. "Can I come in?" he asked. Nala stepped aside. Obina entered the nursery slowly, glancing at the crib before turning his attention back to her. "I wanted to check on you," he said. "I know this room carries memories of the fire and now of other dangers." Nala shifted uneasily. "I'll manage, sir." He studied her face. "You haven't slept." "I'm watching him. I don't want him to be alone." Obina nodded. "Neither do I." He sat in the rocking chair and exhaled heavily, rubbing his forehead. "Major Chima believes the sniper was testing our response. We strengthened the security, but we still don't know who else may be involved." "It's not just Kola," Nala whispered. "It never was." Obina looked up sharply. "Who else?" "My father's enemies," she murmured. "Those who helped my uncle seize control. They knew removing me quietly would secure everything." Obina's jaw tightened. "Then we need to expose them." Nala shook her head. "Sir, they are powerful, wealthy, connected. If you challenge them, they will destroy you." "Let them try," he said fiercely. "I won't let anyone hurt you." Nala's breath caught. His words carried a weight that made her chest ache. "Sir, why are you doing this?" she whispered. "You are not just anything," he said firmly. "You are brave, you are kind, and you have suffered enough." Her eyes burned with tears she fought desperately to keep from falling. He stood and approached her slowly, as though afraid she might break. "Listen to me," he said softly. "You are not alone anymore, Nala. Not while I'm here." She opened her mouth to respond, but before a single word could escape, the doorknob rattled sharply. Both froze. Obina's hand moved instinctively to the small weapon holstered inside his waistband. "Stay behind me," he whispered. Another rattle. Then a hushed voice on the other side of the door. "It's me, Mama Igioma." Relief washed over them both. Obina opened the door. Mama Igioma slipped inside quickly and shut it behind her. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with alarm. "There is something you need to see," she said in a shaky voice. "Come, quickly." Obina frowned. "What is it?" It's better you see it yourself." Nala's stomach twisted. "Is it Kola?" "No," Mama Igioma whispered. "Worse." They exchanged a horrified look and followed her. She led them down the hallway, careful not to wake the guards. They moved like shadow silent, cautious. Mama Igioma kept looking over her shoulder as if fearing someone might trail them. Finally, she pushed open the door to the storage basement. The smell of dust and damp wood filled the air. A single bulb flickered overhead. "Over there," she whispered, pointing toward a wooden table near the far wall. Obina approached first. What he saw made his face harden. On the table lay a bullet, not a casing, a full bullet. Beside it was a piece of paper, folded neatly. Nala's heart dropped. "What is that?" Obina unfolded the note. His face went pale. Nala hurried to his side and froze at the message written in bold, scrawling letters. "The girl dies first, the baby next. Keep them together, makes the job easier." Nala's breath left her in a choking gasp. She staggered backward, her hand covering her mouth. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Obina crumpled the note in his fist, fury burning in his eyes. How did this get inside the house? Mama Ijeoma shook her head helplessly. "I don't know. I came down to fetch extra blankets and found it." Someone has been inside. Someone who knew exactly where to leave the message. Nala trembled violently. "They're going to kill me. And Tari?" Obina grabbed her shoulders firmly. "No one is going to kill you. Or my son. You don't know that," she cried. "They know where I sleep. Where he sleeps. They got inside the basement without being seen." Obina's jaw clenched. "We strengthened the lockdown. Double the guards again." "It won't matter," Nala whispered, eyes wide with terror. "They walk through shadows. They know this house better than we do." Obina stared at her. "What are you saying?" Nala swallowed hard. "There is someone inside this house helping them." Silence. The words hung in the air like poison. Mama Ijeoma gasped. "No, that cannot be." "It must be," Nala said. "Someone unlocked a door. Someone guided them in. Someone wants me dead badly enough to risk everything." Obina's face darkened. "Do you have any idea who?" Nala shook her head weakly. "No, but someone knows every movement in this house. Someone who overheard us. Someone who wants the child vulnerable." Mama Ijeoma clutched her chest in horror. Obina ran a hand through his hair. "We have to consider everyone." "Not everyone," Nala whispered suddenly. Her voice sounded distant, detached. Her eyes were fixed on the staircase as a chilling possibility took root inside her mind-zone she didn't want to consider. One that seemed too cruel to be true. But the memory of earlier footsteps, the closed doors, the unshed tears, it all matched too perfectly. "Nala?" Obina whispered. "Who is it?" She shook her head slowly, as if trying to shake off a nightmare. But the nightmare clung. "It can't be her," Nala whispered. "It can't." "Who?" Obina pressed. Nala's lips trembled. She did not want to say the name. But the truth didn't care about fear, and the truth spilled from her lips like a wound reopening. "Yejid." Obina inhaled sharply. Mama Ijeoma's eyes widened, because the one person they trusted to protect Tari might be the very person who wanted him gone. The basement fell into a suffocating silence. Obina stared at Nala as if the ground beneath him had cracked open. Mama Ijeoma clutched her scarf, trembling, her eyes bouncing between them in disbelief. Finally, Obina found his voice row, shaken, disbelieving. "Nala, you think Yejide would harm our son?" Nala closed her eyes tightly, as though the accusation itself caused her physical pain. "I don't want it to be her. God knows, I hope I'm wrong." Her voice broke. "But everything points towards someone inside this house. Someone who moved freely. Someone who wasn't questioned. Someone who knew exactly where you placed me and where Tari sleeps." Obina's chest rose and fell rapidly. Yejide would never put Tari in danger. Nala's voice trembled. "I know she loves him, sir." But love doesn't erase fear or desperation. Mama Ijeoma stepped forward, speaking gently but firmly. "Chief, think carefully. Madam Yejide has been frightened, yes, but also furious. Threatened." The way she reacted to the idea of Nala sleeping in the nursery, her anger wasn't simply maternal. Obina shook his head sharply. "She's his mother. He is everything to her." "That is exactly why this doesn't make sense," Nala whispered. "The threats weren't aimed at Tari. They were aimed at me, and only me. The note wasn't about killing him first. It said, the girl dies first. Tari was a second thought, a leverage point, a warning." Mama Ijeoma nodded slowly. "And who sees you as more of a threat than Madam Yejide?" Obina clenched his fists, wrestling with the unbearable possibility. "She would never allow harm to come to Tari," he repeated, but the conviction in his voice had begun to crack. Nala stepped closer, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Sir, I'm not saying she wants Tari gone, but she might be desperate enough to frighten me away or force me out. Someone may have convinced her that my presence brings danger, that I'm trying to take her family or her place." Obina inhaled sharply. Nala whispered, "When people feel cornered, they make terrible choices." Mama Ijeoma murmured, "And she overheard everything in the study last night, every word." Obina froze. The memory stabbed him. Yejide standing in the doorway, Her trembling hands, her frightened, resentful eyes, her whispered question, "What does your presence mean for my family?" The hairs on his arms rose. Obinna pressed a hand to his forehead. I need to speak with her." Nala grabbed his wrist, her voice urgent. "No, not now. If she is involved, confronting her will only push her further. If she isn't involved, you could break a woman who has already lost too much." Obinna softened. He gently pulled his wrist from her grasp. "I would never harm her." "But you could accuse her of something she didn't do," Nala said softly. "And if she is guilty, she will deny it, and she might make another move." Obinna's eyes flickered with conflict. "Then, what do you suggest?" Nala took a steadying breath. "We need to observe, quietly. We need to find proof, real proof, and until then, she cannot know we suspect her." Mama Ijeoma nodded firmly. "Yes, that is the only safe way." Obinna looked from one woman to the other, the weight of leadership crushing his chest. He exhaled slowly. "Very well," he said. "We watch, we wait. No accusations, no confrontations." Nala sagged with relief. Obinna turned toward the basement exit. "We need to return to the nursery. It's no longer safe to be down here." When they stepped back into the hallway outside the nursery, the mansion felt different, tense, alert, brimming with unspoken suspicion. The guards straightened immediately, sensing something was wrong even though no explanation had been given. Obinna's voice was steady. "Double patrol speed. No one enters this hall without my permission." "Yes, sir." Inside the nursery, Nala placed Tari back in his crib. The baby stirred, whimpered, then reached for her hand. "I'm here, Tari," she whispered, brushing a stray curl from his forehead. "I won't leave you." Obinna watched the scene quietly. Something in his chest tightened. Not fear, something deeper, more dangerous, something tender. When Nala turned, he stepped closer. "Nala," he said quietly, "whatever happens next, I need you to trust me." She met his gaze. "I do trust you, sir." "Don't call me sir," he murmured. Her breath caught. "Obinna." But he shook his head gently, as if stopping himself from saying more. He stepped backward and forced himself to focus. "I will question the staff discreetly. If someone helped the intruder enter, we will find out." Nala nodded. "Be careful." "For you?" he said, his voice low. "Always." Her heart stuttered painfully. Before she could respond, the door swung open. Yejid stood there. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes red from crying, and her hands trembled at her sides. She scanned the room, Obinna, Nala, the guards. Her gaze landed on Tari in the crib. Something broke across her face. Not anger, not jealousy, fear. "What's going on?" she whispered. "Why are the guards double-posted? Why are you all here at this hour?" Obinna stepped forward instantly. "Nothing is wrong, Yejid. Don't lie to me," she said sharply, tears filling her eyes. "I heard footsteps, whispering. Something is happening. Tell me the truth." Nala's heartbeat hammered in her chest. This was dangerous. Obinna hesitated. "We're increasing security as a precaution." Yejid's voice cracked. "Is my son in danger?" "No," Obinna said quickly. But the lie hit the room like thunder. Yejid's chest rose in panic. "I want to know the truth right now." She turned to Nala, her eyes blazing with suspicion. "Did you tell him something? Did something else happen today? What are you all hiding from me?" Nala opened her mouth to answer, but Obinna stepped between them, shielding her. "Yejid, enough," he said gently. "You need to rest. I promise you, everything is under control." "You're lying," she cried. "Both of you are lying." Her hands shook violently. Her breaths came in sharp bursts. She looked from Obinna to Nala again, and her face twisted. "You think I'm blind?" she whispered. "You think I don't see the way you look at her? You think I don't feel my place slipping away?" Obinna stiffened. "Yejid, stop." "No," she shouted. "I lost myself trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother. And now, overnight, it's all falling apart." Nala took a step forward. "Ma, please." "Don't!" Yejid's voice cracked like glass. "Don't you say a word to me." She backed away, trembling violently. I can't breathe," she whispered. Then she turned and fled down the hallway. Obinna made a move as if to follow, but Nala touched his arm lightly. "Let her go." "She's falling apart," Obinna murmured. She needs space, Nala said softly. But inside, her fear deepened. A desperate woman could be unpredictable. A frightened mother could be dangerous. And a wife watching her world collapse could make decisions she would never have made before. Nala sank into the rocking chair, pulling Tari gently into her arms again. And in the hallway outside, unseen by both of them, Yejid pressed her back against the wall, tears streaming down her face, and not from jealousy alone, but from something darker. Guilt, regret, and a choice she had made that she could no longer undo. Yejid didn't sleep, not even for a moment. She paced her private lounge like a caged animal, her breath shallow, her thoughts racing. Every whisper in the hallway made her flinch. Every distant footstep sent a spike of panic through her chest. She pressed a trembling hand over her heart, trying to steady the storm inside her. She had made a mistake. A terrible, irreversible mistake. But she hadn't meant for it to go this far. She hadn't meant for death to become part of the equation. She only wanted to scare Nala. Push her out. Protect what she believed was hers. Protect her family. Protect her place. But now everything was crumbling. She sank onto the sofa, burying her face in her hands. "What have I done?" she whispered. She pictured Tari's tiny fingers, his soft breathing, his fragile life. And a cold wave of horror washed over her. If anything had happened to him, God forbid, she would never forgive herself. A knock sounded on her door. Yejid flinched violently. "Who is it?" "It's me," came the soft voice of Mama Ijeoma. Yejidi froze. She wiped her face quickly and straightened her robe before opening the door a crack. Mama Ijeoma stepped inside, her expression stern but deeply sorrowful. "Madam, we need to talk." Yejide swallowed hard. "I don't want to talk. You must," Mama Ijeoma said. "Before things get worse." Yejid wrapped her arms around herself. "What do you know?" The older woman sighed. "Enough. I know someone has been helping the intruder, and I know it wasn't one of the servants. We are too afraid of losing our jobs for such foolishness." Yejid's breath quickened. I didn't know he would go that far. I didn't know." Mama Ijeoma stepped closer. "Madam, look at me." Yejid looked up with red, swollen eyes. "You made a terrible choice," Mama Ijeoma said softly, "but you still have a chance to stop further harm. You must tell Obinna the truth." Yejid's voice trembled. "He will leave me if I do." "Better he leaves you," Mama Ijeoma whispered, "than lose your son or your soul." Yejid's face twisted in anguish. "I only wanted her gone. I wanted my family safe. I thought she was trying to take Obinna from me. Everything felt like it was slipping away." "She saved your child," Mama Ijeoma reminded her. "Would a thief, a manipulator, a threat throw herself into fire to protect him? You have been blind, madam, blind with fear." Tears spilled down Yejid's cheeks. I know. "Then do what is right," Mama Ijeoma urged, "before more blood is spilled." But Yejide shook her head violently. "I can't. Not yet. Obinna will never forgive me. He will take Tari away. I will lose everything. And if you stay silent," Mama Ijeoma whispered, "you will lose something far more precious." Yejide closed her eyes, the weight of truth crushing her. Finally she whispered, "Give me time, please. I just need a little time." Mama Ijeoma looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Time, but not much. Evil doesn't wait." She left quietly, closing the door behind her. As soon as she was gone, Yejid collapsed to her knees, sobbing silently. Meanwhile, upstairs in the nursery, Nala sat in the rocking chair, exhausted but unable to rest. Tari slept in her arms, his small hand gripping her sleeve like she was the only safe place left in the world. Obinna stood near the window, speaking quietly with the guards stationed outside. His voice was low, commanding, but Nala could hear the strain beneath it. This danger wasn't just professional for him, it was personal. When he finally returned to the rocking chair, he lowered his voice. "The perimeter is sealed, no movement detected outside. Major Chima's men are arriving at sunrise." Nala nodded, though her body trembled. "Thank you." He studied her for a moment, then sat across from her. "You're scared." She looked down at Tari, brushing a curl from his forehead. "Not for myself," she whispered. "For him. He didn't choose any of this." Obinna leaned forward. "Nala, you saved him once. You would do it again." and you will not face this alone. Tears glimmered in her eyes. I never wanted to bring darkness into anyone's life. He shook his head. The darkness followed you. That is not your fault. Nala swallowed a sob. I don't want to run anymore, but staying here is putting all of you in danger. Then we face the danger together, Obinna said simply. Her heart tightened painfully. Obinna. She hesitated. Your wife. She thinks I'm here to destroy your family. She's wrong, he said firmly. But she's hurting, Nala murmured. She feels threatened. Everything she's built, her position, her place. Obinna looked away. Yajid and I, we were never built on love. Ours was a marriage of convenience. Respect, yes. Partnership, yes. But love, he exhaled. Love has been absent for a long time. Nala's chest tightened. Obinna's gaze returned to her. But you bring something into this home we haven't felt in years. Warmth, courage, light. Nala looked down quickly, tears gathering. Obinna reached out and gently touched her bandaged hand. You are not the danger, Nala. You are the reason we still have hope. Before she could reply, a sudden sound cut through the room. A soft click. The sound of a latch. Obinna froze. His eyes darted to the door. Nala's breath hitched. Someone was unlocking it from the outside. Slowly, quietly, deliberately. Obinna stood instantly, motioning Nala to move back. She clutched Tari protectively and pressed herself against the corner. The door handle turned. A guard's voice called out from the hall but not in greeting. It was a choked, strangled sound. Then a heavy thud. The door pushed open. A figure stepped into the nursery hooded, masked, dressed in black from head to toe, gun in hand. Nala let out a small gasp. Obinna moved in front of her instantly. Don't come any closer. The intruder took one silent step. Nala's voice broke into a whisper. Oh God, no. The figure lifted the gun. Obinna reached for the weapon hidden at his waist, but the intruder said a single word low, muffled, chilling. Move, a woman's voice. Nala's blood froze. Obinna stiffened. Take off the mask. The intruder didn't move. Take off the mask, he commanded again, louder, fiercer. The woman hesitated. Then in a slow, trembling motion, she lifted the mask. Nala's heart dropped. Obinna's face drained of all color. Mama Ijeoma gasped from the hallway behind them, because standing in front of them, gun in hand, tears streaming, was Yejid. Her voice trembled, breaking apart into pieces. I never wanted to, but you forced my hand. Nala clutched Tari tighter. Obinna whispered, horrified. Yejid, what have you done? Kola is right, Yejide sobbed. The girl must die, and if she won't leave us alone, then I will finish what they started. Nala's heart stopped, because this time, the danger wasn't outside the mansion, it was inside, standing right in front of her. For a moment, no one breathed. The nursery, usually filled with soft colors, gentle lullabies, and the warm scent of baby blankets, now felt like a tomb. The overhead light flickered, casting sharp shadows across Yejid's trembling face. She stood with the gun clutched in both hands, arms rigid, eyes wide with terror, fury, and something even more frightening. Desperation. Nala felt her heart hammering against her ribs, her arms wrapped protectively around Tari. The baby sensed danger. He clung to her shirt and whimpered softly. Obinna stepped forward, slowly, palms raised. Yejid, put the gun down. Don't come closer, she warned, her voice cracking. I swear to God, Obinna, don't you dare. He froze. Nala, he said softly, without taking his eyes off his wife, moved slowly to the corner. Keep Tari close. Nala obeyed, inching backward until her back pressed against the wall. The rocking chair blocked most of her body, but not enough to hide them completely. Yejid's gaze snapped toward Nala, and a sob burst from her throat. Look at you, she whispered. Even now, even with a gun pointed at you, you look like the victim, like the saint, like the one we should all protect. Nala shook her head urgently. Ma, please. I've never wanted to take anything from you. I've never wanted to hurt you or your family. Liar! Yejid screamed, her voice shattering the room. You came into my home, took my son's love, my husband's trust, and now you bring death upon us. I didn't bring this danger. Your husband found me dying on the street. And you should have stayed there, Yejidi choked. Obinna sucked in a breath as though struck. Nala flinched as tears finally spilled down her cheeks. Mama Ijeoma appeared at the doorway, one hand pressed to her mouth. "Madam, please, you don't want to do this. Stay out of this," Yejid barked. Her hands shook violently on the gun. She wiped her tears with one trembling wrist, but immediately returned both hands to the weapon. Her breath came in sharp, desperate gasps. Obinna tried again, his voice steady but laced with panic. "Yejid, think of Tari. Look at him." She glanced at the baby in Nala's arms. Something inside her cracked. A sob tore from her chest. "I am thinking of him. You think I want to raise my son in fear? With a girl whose very presence invites assassination inside our home?" Nala whispered. "I would never let harm come to him." "But harm is already here," Yejide cried. "The bullet casing, the note, the intruder, they all came because of you." Nala shook her head, trembling. "No, they came because evil men want to destroy what's rightfully mine. I was only trying to survive." "Then survive somewhere else," Yejid snapped. She suddenly aimed the gun at Nala. Obinna moved instinctively fast, sharp, but Yejid shifted the gun toward him. Don't make me do something unforgivable." Obinna froze again. Nala cried out, "Yejid, please." "Stop saying my name," she screamed. "Stop acting like you care." Nala's tears flowed uncontrollably. "I do care. I have always cared. I never wanted to replace you, but I love Tari." "Don't you say his name," Yejid shrieked. The gun shook, wildly. Mama Ijeoma lunged forward. "Madam, please." The child... Bang! The gun fired. A deafening explosion ripped through the nursery. The window shattered. Glass rained across the floor. Tari let out a terrified cry. Nala screamed and covered his head with her body. Obinna threw himself toward Yejide, but she stumbled backward, horrified at the shot she'd released, her face draining of color. I wasn't aiming. I didn't mean," she stammered, shaking violently. Obinna grabbed the gun with lightning reflexes. "Give it to me!" "No!" Yejide cried, jerking away. "Don't take him from me! Don't take my life!" But Obinna's strength overpowered her trembling grip. He twisted her wrist, and the gun clattered onto the floor. Mama Ijeoma hurried to kick it away. Yejide collapsed to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shoot. I just wanted her to go." Nala, shaking, slowly lifted her head from the floor. Tears streaked her face. "Tari?" The baby cried loudly but was unharmed. She checked him frantically, inspecting his little arms and legs, kissing his forehead with trembling lips. "Thank God, thank God." Obinna knelt and pulled Nala and Tari into his arms, though his own chest heaved from shock. "Are you hurt?" No, we're okay." As she sobbed into his shoulder, Obinna closed his eyes tightly. The bullet had missed them, by inches. He turned toward his wife. Yejid was shaking violently, her hands clutched in her hair, her body rocking back and forth. "I didn't want this. I didn't want this." Obinna's face hardened not with hatred, but with a sorrow deeper than words. "Yejid, you could have killed them." Her eyes shot up, wild with pain. I know." She clutched her chest. "I was scared. I was losing everything. I let them whisper in my ear. I let fear blind me." Nala's heart broke a little. "Who whispered? Kola?" Yejide shook her head weakly. "No, not Kola. Someone else." "Who?" Obinna demanded. Yejide squeezed her eyes shut, tears dripping onto the floor. "My cousin, Adiola." Obinna stiffened. "Adiola? She's been visiting for months." Nala gasped. "She was in the house earlier today." Mama Ijeoma crossed herself. "God have mercy." Yejide continued through sobs. She said Nala was dangerous and needed to be pushed out before she ruined our lives. She said if the girl left, the threats would leave too, that fear tactics would work. Nala's voice broke. "So, she told you to frighten me, to push me out." "Yes," Yejide whispered. "But I didn't know she had ties to Kola's family. I didn't know they would send someone armed. I only wanted her gone, not dead." Obinna's voice shook with fury. "And tonight? What was tonight?" I heard you moved her into the nursery," Yejide sobbed. "Into the safest place in the house, into my son's room, and something in me just snapped. Silence swallowed the room." Nala whispered, "I'm sorry, Ma. I never meant to threaten you." Yejide looked up at her with broken, bloodshot eyes. You didn't threaten me, Nala. I threatened myself. I let fear destroy me. Obina took a long, trembling breath. Yejide, you're not well. We need help. Real help. Yejide bowed her head, whispering, I know, please. Please don't take Tari from me. Obina's expression softened painfully. I'm not taking him from you. But you cannot stay in this house until we understand exactly what is happening, and until you get help. Horror washed over her. Obina, please, I can't leave. You almost killed our child, he said, voice breaking. And Nala. Yejide let out a Waila heartbreaking guttural sound. Nala looked away, tears streaming again. Mama Ijioma's voice trembled. Chief, let me call someone she trusts. Her sister. Perhaps she can take Madam away quietly. Obina nodded. Yejide collapsed completely, sobbing in uncontrollable waves. Nala whispered, Ma, I forgive you. Yejide looked up slowly, stunned. Nala's voice shook. I know fear. I know what it does. And I know you didn't mean to hurt Tari. You love him more than your own life. Yejide sobbed harder. Obina whispered, we will fix this. All of us. Nala looked at him, realization crashing into her chest. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Because Yejide hadn't been working alone. Adiola connected to Kola's family was still out there. Still dangerous. Still waiting. And now, she knew the first attempt had failed. And she would not hesitate to try again. The mansion felt hollow after Yejide was taken away. Her sister arrived before Sunrise, a quiet, grief-stricken woman named Jumoka, who didn't ask questions, didn't speak of blame, didn't lash out. She only gathered Yejide gently into her arms, whispering prayers as Yejide wept uncontrollably. Obina said little, only nodded once when Jumoke promised to get her help. And then, after a final look at Tari sleeping in Nala's arms, Yejide stepped into the waiting car and disappeared down the driveway. Nala stood at the nursery window long after the taillights faded. She wasn't crying, but her heart felt bruised, as though grief had reached inside and twisted something vital. Obina touched her shoulder lightly. You should rest. She's hurting, Nala whispered. I saw it in her eyes. She didn't want to become that person. Obina sighed, rubbing his temple. Fear changes people, warps them, makes monsters out of the desperate. Nala nodded slowly. It could have been me, if I had lost everything. Obina turned sharply. Never say that. She lowered her gaze but didn't argue. They stayed like that for a moment, quiet, shaken, fragile in a house, once filled with confidence and pride. Now it felt like a place trying to gather itself after an earthquake. Then Major Chima appeared at the door, his deep voice cutting into the silence. Chief Obina, we need to speak privately. Obina glanced at Nala, then followed the Major into the hallway. Mama Ijeoma slipped into the nursery the moment they left. She touched Nala's cheek gently, her eyes filled with both relief and worry. You are safe for now, she said. But safety is only a word, child. Danger moves like smoke, it finds cracks. Nala swallowed. Mama, do you think Yejide meant to kill us? The older woman sighed, lowering herself into the rocking chair. Her soul was drowning. She reached out in madness instead of asking for help. But no mother points a gun at her child unless someone has poisoned her mind. Nala flinched. Adiola. Mama Ijeoma nodded. That woman is serpent-tongued. She has always been jealous of Madame Yejide's fortune. It doesn't surprise me that she wanted to shatter this home. Then she's the one helping Kola, Nala murmured. Yes, and unlike Madame, Adiola does not have a heart to appeal to. A chill ran through Nala's spine. Tari stirred in her arms, as if sensing the darkness around them. Nala kissed his small forehead. I'll protect him. Mama Ijeoma smiled sadly. I know you will. But protecting him may require facing the past you've run from. Nala's eyes clouded. I'm not ready. No one ever is. In the hallway, Major Chima led Obina to the study and closed the door. His posture remained rigid, but there was agitation simmering beneath the surface. We found something, Chima said. Behind the tool shed, Obina tensed. More threats? You could say that. Chima placed a sealed evidence bag on the table. Inside lay a small device with wires and a blinking red light. Obina's eyes widened. A tracker? More than that, Chima said grimly. A listening device. Very advanced. Someone planted it near the servants' entrance, meaning someone inside the house may have aided them. Obinna felt the blood drain from his face. You think Adeola was here earlier than we realized? Chima snorted. Chief, I don't think. I know, we checked the perimeter cameras. She was here 2 hours before the confrontation. She entered through the kitchen side door with help. Obinna's fists clenched. Help from who? Someone who knew the guard rotation. Someone who had keys. Chima lowered his voice. Someone who wasn't afraid to betray you. Obinna felt nausea rise. One of my staff? Yes, Chima said. Possibly more than one. Obinna slammed his hand onto the desk. Damn it. Chima watched him quietly. There's more. Obinna turned slowly. What? Chima placed another evidence bag on the desk. Inside was a folded sheet of paper, sealed in plastic. Obinna opened it with trembling hands. The message was short, printed in the same jagged writing as the earlier threat. The first warning failed. Adeola will clean up. The girl dies at sunset. Obinna felt ice crawl through his veins. She's still coming for Nala, he said hoarsely. Chima nodded. And she's coming today. Obinna ran back to the nursery so fast that 2 guards dropped their weapons in alarm. He burst into the room, breathless. Nala, he gasped. We need to move you. Now. She stood immediately, fear flashing in her eyes. What happened? Another threat, Obinna said grimly. A direct one. They know you're in this room. They know our guard rotations. Someone fed them information. Nala's knees buckled. Someone inside, again? Yes. How many? She whispered. We don't know. Nala clasped Tari closer. Where do we go? To my private office, Obinna said. No windows, only one entrance. Reinforced walls. No one knows the passcode except me. Mama Ijeoma nodded. Good. That is safer. But Nala's fear didn't subside. She stared at Obinna. Sir, this will never end. Not until I face them. Obinna grabbed her shoulders. You will not face anyone alone. Not while you are in my home. Nala looked into his eyes, seeing exhaustion, fear, and something deeper that made her heart ache. She whispered, You're risking everything for me. Obinna's voice lowered. I'd risk far more. Emotions flickered between them, raw, dangerous, unspoken. Then Chima rushed in. Chief! We found footprints near the west wall. Multiple sets, fresh. Obinna swore. They're already here. Chima's face hardened. We must move. Now. Nala's grip tightened around Tari. Obinna, please don't let anything happen to him. He took her free hand gently. I won't. As they hurried down the corridor with guards flanking them, Nala heard a faint sound. A click. She froze. What is it? Obinna whispered. Nala turned slowly, her stomach twisting. Down the hallway, far beyond the guards, stood a figure. A woman in dark clothing, her hair braided tightly, falling over one shoulder. Her posture confident, predatory. Adeola. She smiled. It wasn't human. Then she lifted something. A gun. Get down, Chima roared. Bang, bang, bang. Bullets tore through the air. Glass shattered. Guards yelled. Obinna dove, shielding Nala and Tari with his body. Nala screamed as the gunfire echoed through the mansion. Adeola's voice rang out chilling, triumphant, merciless. Tonight, the girl dies. And she fired again. This time, closer. Much closer. The hallway became an explosion of noise. Bullets cracked against the marble walls, shards ricocheting like sparks from a grinding blade. Guards shouted orders, some diving for cover, others rushing forward with shields raised. But through the chaos, through the ringing in her ears and the pounding of her heart, Nala heard only one thing. Tari's terrified cries. She tightened her grip on him and dropped to her knees, shielding his tiny body with her own. Obinna crouched over them both in a protective arc, his arms encircling them, his breath harsh and ragged against her ear. Stay down, he shouted. Don't move. More gunfire erupted closer this time. Nala dared a glance down the hallway. Adeola was advancing. With every step, she fired methodically, eyes trained on her target Nala. Guards fell back under the onslaught, scrambling for better angles, but Adeola moved like she'd been trained for this moment her entire life. Chima stepped forward, pulling a small shield from behind him. Get her out, he yelled. Obinna nodded fiercely. Nala, Run when I say so. Nala shook her head. I won't leave without you. You're not leaving me, he said through clenched teeth. We're all leaving together. Adiola shouted over the chaos. You can't protect her, Obina. You can't protect any of them. She was never meant to live. Chima fired back with his pistol, sending Adiola ducking behind a column. A brief lull fell between gunshots. Nala, Chima hissed. Move now! Obina grabbed Nala's arm and pulled her to her feet. She held Tari tightly and kept her head low as they sprinted down the hallway. Chima and 2 guards formed a shielded barrier around them, blocking bullets with reinforced vests and metal shields. But Adiola was not finished. She emerged from behind the column with a roar, firing again. A bullet grazed Obina's shoulder, and he staggered, blood blooming through his shirt. Obina! Nala cried. He gritted his teeth but pushed her forward. Go! I'm fine. Chima shoved open a heavy steel door, the entrance to Obina's private office. Inside, they rushed in. Nala barely crossed the threshold before Chima slammed the door behind them and locked it with a heavy metallic click. The room plunged into dim, emergency-lit amber. Reinforced walls, no windows, and only one entrance. Obina leaned against the wall, breath heavy, blood dripped from his shoulder. Obina, you're hurt. Nala's voice broke as she shifted Tari in one arm and reached for him with the other. He shook his head. It's a scratch. Chima gave him a sharp look. It's not a scratch. Sit down. Obina reluctantly obeyed, sinking into the leather chair behind his desk. Nala carefully laid Tari on the couch, whispering soothing words while his tiny body shook with fear. Then she turned back to Obina. Her hands trembled as she touched the torn fabric on his shoulder. You could have... I told you, he murmured, his eyes softening. I will always protect you. Tears spilled down Nala's cheeks. Chima busied himself checking the locks, then pressed his ear to the door. She's outside, he said in a low voice, trying to find a weakness. Nala's body went cold. She won't stop. No, Chima said, she won't. Silence fell thick, heavy, suffocating. Then Chima looked at Obina. Chief, we cannot stay here. This room is strong, but not impenetrable. If she has explosives... Obina's eyes darkened. She wouldn't dare use them with Tari inside. She would, Nala whispered. Adiola doesn't care if she burns the entire house down. She believes killing me is the key to her family's power. Chima hesitated. There is only one option. Obina nodded grimly. The escape tunnel. Nala's eyes widened. Escape tunnel? Obina stood slowly, holding his shoulder. My grandfather built this house during unstable times. He created a hidden tunnel under the private office, in case the family ever needed to flee without detection. Chima pressed a button under the desk. With a soft mechanical hum, a panel in the floor slid aside, revealing a narrow stairway leading into darkness. Nala held Tari closer. Where does it lead? To a shed 3 acres behind the house, Obina said. Chima and his men will retrieve us there. Chima nodded. But we need to move. Now. A loud crash on the other side of the door made all 3 of them jump. Adiola's scream followed. Nala, come out. You cannot hide forever. She began pounding on the steel with something heavy metal on metal, ringing like a nightmare bell. Nala's heart hammered wildly. Obina stepped toward the tunnel and motioned for her. Go. Nala shook her head. No. You first. Obina's tone softened. Nala, please. She swallowed the lump in her throat and descended the narrow stairs slowly, gripping the wall with one hand while cradling Tari with the other. His small fingers curled into her shirt, shaking. Obina followed closely behind her, his breath uneven from pain, his hand brushing her back in reassurance. Chima was last. He pulled the panel shut behind them, plunging the tunnel into near darkness, except for the dim emergency lights lining the walls. They began moving quickly through the narrow passage. The air smelled of dust and old stone. Every sound echoed a reminder of how small and vulnerable they were in that cramped space. Obina's voice was strained. Once we reach the end, we'll regroup and call for backup. Nala nodded, though he couldn't see her. Obina, when this is over, I need you to know something. He hesitated. What is it? She swallowed hard. I'm not staying hidden anymore. I'm going to take back my father's empire. I'm going to expose every truth they buried. Not just for me, but for every life they destroyed. Obinna felt something powerful, stir in him admiration, pride, and something deeper, something unspoken. Nala, he said softly, I'll stand with you. Before she could respond, Chima raised a hand abruptly. Stop. They halted. What is it? Obinna asked. Chima's voice dropped to a whisper. We're not alone. Nala's heart plummeted. From the darkness ahead, a faint metallic click echoed. Then another, the unmistakable sound of a gun being loaded. A voice drifted toward them cold, mocking. I told you, the tunnel wouldn't save you. It was Adiola. She had found the other end. Nowhere to run, Nala. Obinna pulled Nala behind him, shielding her and Tari completely. Chima stepped forward, raising his weapon. Adiola laughed softly. You think you can stop me? I finish what I start. The tunnel trembled with tension. One shot would end it all. Chima whispered sharply, Stay behind me. Obinna whispered to Nala, Hold Tari tight. Nala closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. Then, lights blazed behind Adiola. Voices roared. Drop the weapon! Guards surged into the tunnel from the far end. Adiola spun, firing, but her shots went wild as a guard tackled her from behind. Two more grabbed her arms, wresting the gun free. No! She shrieked. She dies! She dies! Her screams echoed wildly, bouncing off the stone walls as she kicked and fought. But she was trapped. Cornered, caught, finally subdued. As the guards dragged her away, her voice cracked into a hysterical wail. You can't run forever, Nala. They'll come for you. All of them. They'll never stop. And then, silence. Minutes later, guards escorted Obinna, Nala, Tari, and Chima out of the tunnel and into the early dawn air. The sky glowed faintly pink, as though the world itself was trying to erase the horrors of the night. Nala clutched Tari while leaning against Obinna. She was exhausted, trembling, heartbroken, but alive. Obinna rested his forehead against her hair, tears slipping silently down his cheek. It's over, he whispered. You're safe. But Nala shook her head slowly. No, she murmured. This was only one battle. She lifted her gaze toward the horizon, toward her future, toward her past, toward everything that had been stolen from her. I'm done hiding. It ends with me reclaiming everything they took. Obinna gently took her hand. And I will be by your side, he vowed softly. She looked at Tari, sleeping peacefully now in her arms. And I will protect him, she whispered, for the rest of my life. Obinna touched her chin gently, lifting her gaze to his. We'll protect each other. The sun rose slowly behind them, casting warm light across the estate. The danger wasn't gone. The war wasn't over. But for the first time in years, Nala felt the beginning of hope. Life has a way of testing us in moments we least expect through betrayal, fear, and the shadows of our past. But courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to rise even when everything tries to break you. Nala's strength didn't come from her bloodline or her inheritance. It came from her heart, her resilience, and her refusal to let darkness define her. Sometimes the people who hurt us are themselves broken, guided by fear rather than malice. But forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward without letting the weight of that pain control our destiny. And as Nala learned, true family is not built from wealth or blood, but from loyalty, sacrifice, and love that stands firm even in the fire. If this story touched you, tell me, what part moved you the most? And if you enjoy powerful African folktale dramas, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next journey.